Capturing fireworks in all their vibrant, explosive glory requires both preparation and creativity. The right equipment forms the foundation of any successful fireworks photography session. Start with a DSLR or mirrorless camera, ensuring it has a full manual mode for complete control over your settings. Stability is paramount, so a sturdy tripod is your best friend, especially for those long exposures that create dramatic firework trails. For the utmost sharpness, a remote shutter release is highly recommended, as it eliminates even the slightest camera shake when triggering the shot. If you don't have one, using your camera's self-timer is a reliable alternative. Selecting the right lens is equally important. A wide-angle lens, such as a 16 to 35 mm, allows you to capture the full breadth of the sky and any interesting foreground elements, like city skylines or reflective water surfaces. If you want a bit more flexibility, a standard zoom lens in the 24-70 mm range works well. In especially bright conditions, or if you want to experiment with even longer exposures, consider an ND filter to reduce the intensity of the light entering your lens. Now, let's talk camera settings. Always shoot in manual mode to have full authority over exposure parameters. Begin with a shutter speed between 2 and 8 seconds to capture the burst and trailing lights of each firework. If your camera supports bulb mode, you can extend exposures up to 10 or even 20 seconds, but beware of overexposure if too many bursts overlap. Aperture settings between f8 and f16 are ideal for keeping both the foreground and firework trails sharp, but don't hesitate to open up the aperture slightly for dimmer fireworks or narrow it further for the brightest displays. For crisp, noise-free images, keep your ISO low, typically between 100 and 200. Focus is another crucial element. Autofocus may struggle in low light, so switch to manual focus and set it to infinity, or focus on a distant object before the show begins. Once set, secure the focus ring with a small piece of tape to avoid accidental adjustments. For true-to-life colors, set your white balance to daylight, around 5500K, or leave it on auto. If you'd like a cooler, bluish tone, try tungsten. Always shoot in RAW format to maximize your options in post-processing. The technique you use can make or break your fireworks images. Arrive at your location well ahead of time to scout for the best vantage point. A clear, unobstructed view is key, but don't overlook the potential for compelling foregrounds. Silhouetted people, iconic landmarks, or shimmering water can add depth and context to your shots. Once your camera is mounted securely on the tripod, use your remote shutter or self-timer to minimize vibrations. Timing is everything. Open the shutter just as you see a firework launch to capture its ascent and full bloom. If you're using bulb mode, cover the lens with a black card or your lens cap between bursts, only exposing the sensor when you want to capture the action. This gives you precise control over which bursts appear in your final image. Don't be afraid to experiment. Try varying your shutter speeds, shorter for crisp, defined bursts, longer for flowing ethereal trails. Zoom the lens during exposure for wild, streaking effects. Position yourself near water to capture mesmerizing reflections, or frame recognizable silhouettes in the foreground for an extra layer of storytelling. In post-processing, use tools like Lightroom or Photoshop to enhance colors, recover highlights, and blend multiple exposures for a show-stopping composite. Challenges will arise. Overexposure, crowded venues, drifting smoke, and gusty winds are all common. Plan ahead, adjust your settings as needed, and remember, some of the most magical photos happen through trial and error. Fireworks are fleeting, but with patience and experimentation, you'll transform those brief explosions of color into unforgettable works of art. Let your creativity shine and enjoy the spectacle from both sides of the lens.